In 1,000 feet, use the right 2 lanes to keep right.
Hey friends, it is Thursday, September 16, 2021. Welcome back to Prepare to Go There. My name is Peter, and it is a joy to go on this extended coaching journey with you, where we're just helping each other lead ourselves and stay focused on the future. I hope you're doing awesome. I thank you for your patience. I was in a deep focus work session, had so much fun. Was getting so much done, and looked up and said, oh wow, it's already 4 o'clock. So I really appreciate your patience. We're going to dive into a mission critical conversation. It is your time. You know, your time is important, and so we've got to be staying tooled up and get retooled with it. I want to kind of get my screen on track and tell you about a few things I'm excited about. And let me know in the chat where you want to go today. I want to kind of help you assess your own calendar strategies. I want to talk about your weekly planning session. I want to talk about where you're getting stuck. I want to talk about where the potential is for your own productivity. And so I'll be feeding off of your comments for sure. But I am so excited about this conversation. How do we leverage our time? How do we lead ourselves with better calendar strategies? Maybe you're like me. Maybe you started out feeling kind of allergic to your calendar. You didn't want to commit. You didn't like the constraints, and then you figured out, or maybe you're figuring out now, that creativity actually happens in those constraints, that you can actually focus yourself to do better work and to really just be more productive when you are, mapping things out in advance. And so I'm super excited about the blog that's out. It's called, Are You Using This Tool to Build Your Future? And then I'm also super excited about tomorrow, because tomorrow's Future Friday, believe it or not. And we're going to be talking about all this planning and calendar making and all that stuff. But I have another friend who is an amazing guy, husband, father, believer, entrepreneur, just an amazing all-around guy. And so he's going to be coming on tomorrow. His name is Justin Hodges. And so I'm just so excited to really interview him and go deeper on his own calendar strategies and just his take on entrepreneurship, creativity, team building, just all of the above. There's really no script. We just have a great conversation. And so, having said that, let me welcome you to the Future Frontier. We're all about encouraging you to lead yourself and stay focused on your future. I've found that most people don't know how to lead themselves or others into a better future because they're not applying it personally and privately. And so Prepare to Go There is that daily journey that we're going on. It's a coaching conversation to help us stay focused practically on the future, and then figure out how do we lead ourselves there tactically day by day. And so if this resonates with you, I want to give you a warm welcome into our email community. We call it the Future Friends. I want to get your future some more friends. And I send out a weekly roundup email to the email community on Fridays, and you get a bundle of all of the coaching conversations, the blogs and the vlogs and all that, and then give you updates on what I'm working on. For instance, I've had so much fun going in a lot of directions, but I want you to check this out. I got all kinds of fresh content going in deep, helping you out. And so that's going to be coming your way real soon. And I want to tell you about a free gift that I'm going to be sharing with you right after this conversation. It's the fail-proof planning guide, and it's been helping me and a bunch of other friends. And so I want you to be in on it. You know, the big idea for this week is getting retooled, particularly with a calendar, but there's a lot of different tools that we can be learning. And I think it's important because it helps us with our futurability. It helps us to lead ourselves, to leverage our time. Tom Peters said, only those who constantly retool themselves will be able to stand a chance of staying employed in the years ahead. For our context, I would say only those who are constantly retooling themselves will stand a chance at staying engaged in the years ahead. You know, I grew up with public speaking. My family does public speaking in a way, and yet doing this, live streaming, speaking online, connecting with people in new ways, it's a skill. It takes some retooling. You know, the way I managed my time when I was single was cool, but now I have to level up because being married has so many new and exciting opportunities that come with it. And just being a team of two requires me to lead myself on another level. And so every season of your life, you're retooling, no matter what it is or what it's for, personal, professional, whether it's family, whether it's business, ministry. We have to be willing to have that beginner's mindset and relearn some things, go back to the tools. Maybe you have a tool, but you need to use it better. One example is I've been a power user for Evernote for a while, but about 2 years ago, I said, I need to use this more effectively. So I took the deep dive and I learned even more about how to use this tool more effectively. And so then I've got this, streaming tool called StreamYard, and it's been a huge gift. It's been amazing. It is easy to use, but you also have to practice it. And I'm like 63, 64 rounds deep into this commitment and this journey. And I'm still learning this. I'm still retooling myself for this. So don't feel like it's too late to retool. Don't feel like you can't do this. That mindset is the very difference between the people who go into the future and the people who plateau in their past, in their present. And I want to make one quick edit, and I'm going to plug in my microphone here. Hopefully that sounds a little bit. So go ahead and write in the chat, where do you want to begin? Is there something you want to recap? What do you want to dive into first? Otherwise, I'm going to take off. And I want to be helpful for you today. We're going to be regrouping on the content, collecting our gains, tactics to retool your weekly planning. Now, I talk a lot about self-leadership. Leadership is in everything. We know that. Self-leadership is just the first step. It's kind of like the root structure of the trees. Most people don't see that. They don't see that necessary unnoticed preparation, but it's so important. And, you know, I do harp a lot on character and leading yourself with intentionality and with integrity. You know, self-leadership is the opposite of selfish. Self-leadership is more like self-control. And your team has enough to do. They shouldn't be following you around picking up your mess. They shouldn't be following you around to take care of you. You should be able to take care of your basic needs and your basic lifestyle. So that way you're good, you're organized, and you're ready to serve. You're ready to lead by serving. And so I talk a lot about, you know, the danger of bad leadership and the pain of seeing, you know, leaders fail or fall. But I always want to spotlight it when it's going great. I want to spotlight leaders that are crushing it. I want to give us examples of what self-leadership can produce. And so I found a breaking news update that I think is perfect for the future friends. And I want to brag on, you know, because I talk a lot about the process. I talk a lot about, you know, the day-to-day stuff we're doing to work on ourselves and work towards the future. But I want to give us some encouragement and some hope and some vision. And so I would think this piece is going to be so cool for generational leadership, because I talk a lot about you lead yourself, you lead others, you lead through others. And that's not just delegation. I mean like generational leadership. And so here it is right here. It's coming out. You will see it somewhere right here that sometime today, I don't know if this is insider information I got or what, but at some point today, the Chick-fil-A organization is going to be announcing that they are getting a new CEO. And I could not be more thrilled for this organization. They have been time tested and proven, and there's so many good things to say about the Chick-fil-A organization. But basically, the founder, who is Truett Cathy, his legacy is going to continue now through his grandson. So now this is the third generation of leadership going into the Chick-fil-A organization. And I am so happy to congratulate Andrew Cathy, will be the next CEO of Chick-fil-A. He is the grandson of Truett Cathy, the son of Dan Cathy, and he's basically, you know, grown up in the organization, but now he was a part of the executive committee. He was leading the people and talent division since 2015 and has helped that organization skyrocket to a whopping 2,627 restaurants. And as of 2020, they reached over $14 billion in sales. So that is amazing. And I hope that this is kosher for me to make this announcement a little bit ahead of time. But you heard it here first on Prepare to Go There, giving you tomorrow's news today. But the reason I bring that up is to bless them, to honor them, to appreciate not just the Truett family or the Cathy family, but the entire organization, and to give us a picture of, like, when you show up, you want to show up ready. You want to show up ready. In fact, I thought it was so cool. There's a quote in here, and it said, as a privately held family-owned business, we are able to look at succession through a longer lens, allowing us to approach succession in a planful, highly coordinated way. what am I looking for? The current CEO was talking about the next CEO, and he says he was ready. He was ready to lead. And man, I'm just blown away by this, guys. This is so encouraging. It's great when you see organizations doing it right. It's great when you see communities, churches, movements doing it right. It's so cool. And so there's a model of generational leadership. And look what this guy is stepping into. I mean, how much influence and infrastructure he's going to have to operate with. It is crazy. So really take this to heart. There's a bright and brave future that's waiting on you, and you've got to go get ready for it today. All right, so let's dive into the calendar stuff again, because like I've been saying, I've been telling y'all this, your time is mission critical. If you do not give your time a mission, that's every day, every part of the day, it will drift away from you. The default of your day is towards delay and decay. And that's why we have to be intentional and redeem that time. Actually make it productive, make it intentional, make it relational, make it creative, make it meaningful, valuable. We have that God-given ability to do that. We have to take ownership of our time. We have to tame our time. And if we are kind of haphazard about this, if we're careless or negligent, if we don't think that we have this responsibility, we'll forfeit it and we'll get discouraged, or we'll get distracted, or we will get disqualified. And I love that there's a passage of scripture. Paul is talking to Timothy and he gives him 3 life lessons. He says, look at, the soldier, look at the athlete, look at the farmer. And there are lessons. Don't get the soldier, don't get distracted. The runner, don't get disqualified. And the farmer, don't get discouraged. So we need this ongoing conversation to just put, fuel to our focus, to keep the future on the front burner and to say, keep going, because where you're going is going to be worth all that you're waiting on, all that you're working towards. Make today count. Make today count. Your time is mission critical. You got to give it a mission. And that's why I'm convinced that your calendar is the most important tool that you can use to work on your life and stay focused on your future. My email doesn't keep me in the future. Email pulls me into the present or the past. And there are different spaces and tools that either pull us back or help us push ahead. And so we want to always be future present minded. There's a great quote by author Keenan Callahan, and he says, we look to the future to know what to do with the present. We look to the future to know what to do with the present. I'm not talking about daydreaming, fantasizing, escaping. I mean that there is real purpose, real work to be done. So we got to look ahead so that way we can get after the work today, make the most of the moments we have. And then we've been talking about the weekly planning session. Now, let me get into some of these questions. And Joshua wants to know, plan on one calendar or multiple calendars for the different areas of life we manage. Man, great question, Joshua. So for me, I personally keep one calendar for my life. That's my personal life. And then I manage every other calendar I'm managing with other people. I'm sharing the load with other people. So I'm responsible for me. I'm responsible for my day, my time. I'm responsible for my health, my personal growth. I'm responsible for the relationships that Sarah Joy and I are cultivating and, stewarding. And I used to keep a calendar for, my blog. I used to keep a calendar for the church, for all the other projects I'm doing. And me personally managing multiple calendars was too much. So the answer is I only solely work on myself with a calendar. That's literally my view of the day, the week, the month, where I need to be, what I need to be doing. But then I share these other calendars with other people, because like the church work we've got to be doing, or the social media stuff we've got to be doing, or whatever it is. Hopefully you're going to take on a team approach. Hopefully you're going to involve other people and recruit them and get their strengths and get their buy-in and get their support. So that's a really great question. And thank you for bringing that up. I think it's a joke. Maybe y'all can help me with this. In your mind, what is the difference between being reactive and being responsive? I thought that was kind of funny, because, we can kind of make words mean what we want them to at times. And, when I think of reactive, it's generally a negative thing. Oh, don't be reactive, be proactive. That's really good. But like, what if you're in customer support? Or what if you're like on the fire department? What if you're a parent and you're waiting on your kid to come back from, the band trip? Well, you want to be responsive, right? You want to be available. You want to make yourself present if people are calling or reaching out. And so I think the difference is, reactive means that you feel behind, you got caught off guard, you're blindsided, you're not prepared, you're kind of rushing in hot. Responsive means you're making a choice to get all of your stuff covered so that way you can be present and available for others. So I think there are kind of on and off points in our day. There are on stage, off stage points in our day. Like, for instance, today, I personally hate the feeling of coming on and starting a show late. Now, I'm thankful that I was super focused and I was getting work done in another area, but that was me focusing here when I needed to have enough time to pivot and transition and focus here. Now, am I going to cry, over that? No big deal. I'm super grateful, that y'all were along for the ride and you understand how that goes. That's not a habit. This is a choice to learn, to diagnose, to get better. It's probably something I'm going to journal about later on this week. But this is us working on the day, the rhythms, the routines, and figuring that out. So I think it's good to make time for your buffer, to be responsive, to be present, to be available. And whenever you're working on your calendar, you might feel the pressure to do more, to fill it up more and more, to kind of, fill it up to the brim. And I would say, why? Like, most of the time we're trying to pack in that schedule because we're not being realistic or we're not being patient. And you really do want to get in a rhythm. You really do want to become more sustainable. And so you might have to slow down your pace a little bit. You might have to say, I can't get it all done in one day, but if I'm being strategic and if I'm being intentional and if I'm actually building my calendar at the top, at the higher view of my roles and goals, what's important and who I'm becoming and where we're going, then I'm putting that into the calendar in real time and space. I'm actually building that into the calendar. And that's, for me, that's the big aha moment. The big aha moment was, oh, the calendar is my tool to work on my future. It's not, this dartboard where everybody else gets to throw their, reminders, their priorities, their emergencies on me. I have to take ownership of my time. I get to navigate the way I use my time. I get to negotiate what I say yes to, what I say no to, even in relationships or work. We have to be honest. We have to be open and say, hey, I want to be, I want to fulfill my commitments, but I need you to know everything else I'm looking at. And if you're only using your calendar for mostly work, then you're missing out on that view, because you really do get to visualize how you're spending the 24 hours, how you're spending the 168 hours a week in a more holistic view. Your calendar may be attached to your work email or your work account, but that calendar is a view or a map of your whole life. And so a lot of times we're not being intentional. We're being intentional with the work stuff, but we're not being intentional with the personal stuff or the family stuff. And, we can't always compartmentalize everything. It would be easy to say, yeah, I'm just going to block it off here. But more and more of our lives are becoming fragmented, or at least for a better goal is to make our lives more integrated. And we can do that when you use a calendar tool. You're able to visualize where your time is already going, and then you're able to better organize how you want to use your time again. So I want to talk about using your calendar as a future building tool, but I'll be just candid with you. I would have much more fun personally if I got to hear from you and riff on whatever you're thinking about. So if there's a strategy that we've already talked about that you like, maybe it was the weekly planning session, maybe it was big rocks, maybe it was time blocks, maybe it was, I'm trying to think of all the things we've mentioned here over the week. Maybe it was how to, really get into the zone when you're doing your weekly planning session. How do I actually summarize what I'm facing, what I'm feeling? How do I organize all of the clutter from the last productive week? How do I diagnose where my time is going? How do I better decide the choices and changes I'm going to make in the week ahead? If there's a certain strategy that you want to lean into and kind of talk about more, then let me know in the chat. But in the meantime, I want to just go off of this idea that your calendar is a tool to build your future. I didn't think that. I didn't know that. I thought that the calendar was basically a closet that I would store things in. People would tell me things and I'd be like, okay, kind of random. Don't really know where to put that. Do I write that down? Is that a reminder? Do I put that in my Evernote? Do I, just text myself a message? Maybe I'll scroll back and I'll get it. Where do I actually put all of this stuff? And I use the calendar like a closet to just store things. And it was just all this stuff that was coming to me, and I didn't know where to put it. So I put it in my closet. My calendar. And then I realized that you actually get to design the way you want to spend the week. You get to develop your own lifestyle. It's your style. It's your lifestyle. So go ahead and be creative and be intentional and be expressive, and let everything you've learned, let everything you've gained up until this point begin to shine through all of that intentionality. It's like when you are, present and you're going through your week, you've integrated all of these life skills, life lessons into a well thought out day or well thought out week. And it doesn't mean that it's totally synchronized. It doesn't mean that it has it's like a Broadway theater where it's like, all right, here's your line in 3, 2, 1, go. It's not like that, but you're developing awareness and you're developing discipline that's going to help you better navigate and negotiate what you're facing. So the calendar is less of a closet where you store things and more of a canvas where you design things. And I know this sounds kind of silly, but I enjoy going on a dream date with my wife. Sarah Joy and I, we would do coffee and calendars, and it was so much fun. For me personally, maybe it's my, the way I'm wired, but I'm a dreamer. I'm a visionary. I want to, go to the future. I want to talk about what's important and what's possible. And she is like all action. She is like execution. She's like, let's get after it. Why are we still here talking? Finish your coffee. Let's go. Let's go back to Hobby Lobby. I love that. It inspires me. She is perfect for me. And so we kind of come together on these coffee dates because calendar and coffee, they go together in the sense that coffee is a limited amount of coffee. So there's a limited time. And then the calendar is we're dreaming about the future. We're making plans. We're putting things into action. And so I enjoy jumping into that dream date because we get to say, what do we value? And then how are those values showing up on the calendar? And I don't know. That was just maybe I'm just like going off here, but that was such a big game changer for me when I realized that my calendar was going to help me build my future. And the way I do that is by looking at my roles, looking at my goals, and basically saying, if these are the things I value, if these are the things I say I value, where does it show up in the calendar? Like for real. And if I say I have a value for health and that I want to, grow and physically train, where is that showing up in the calendar? Now, maybe I'm not doing it 100%, or maybe I can't get it all done in a month, but what am I doing today? And where does that actually fit on the calendar? And when you actually visualize and you name, you claim that space, that real estate, and then you name it and you say, this is the focus. This is the value. This is what, I'm going to be doing. And then you say, well, if I'm going to be ready for, let's just say the workout, because that's the example. If I want to be present and if I want to be effective in that space of time, then what do I need to do to get ready for it? How would I show up ready for that, hour of walking, working out, doing it? Let me learn a little bit. Let me get a checklist. Let me get some supplies. Sarah Joy and I have been working on, a home gym, and she's inspiring me, and she's creating this awesome environment. And so now we're writing, our progress on the mirror, and it's fun. And so that's a value, but it had to show up on the calendar. And it's not like, if you don't do it one day, then it's all for nothing and it's all for loss. You got to just stay focused on it. You got to keep coming back. Don't forget and don't quit. Just don't forget and don't quit. Just keep going and keep growing. Be sustainable. And a key to that is asking yourself, is this enjoyable? So that's why I like the dream dates with my wife. I like looking at the calendar and working on our own culture, examining our ethos and saying, I don't want to pretend that we value these things. I want to actually prepare to live them out. And if I'm not actively assigning the goals, the roles in my life into time and space, into these blocks of time, then what are we doing? And it doesn't have to be too heavy. It doesn't have to be too labor intensive. It's not like you're spending 4 hours on everything. You can actually grow in your identity 30 minutes at a time. You can work towards your goals 60 minutes at a time. And that's why you got to be willing to stay focused and be patient. Stay focused and be patient. Yes, we have the passion to work hard under pressure, but we also need the endurance to just keep showing up and to keep making those goals count. So getting those roles, putting them into the calendar. When I say role, I mean the lifestyle stuff or the habits, or just like, where are you going to be intentionally? Where are you going to show up as the spouse? Where are you going to show up as the leader, the team builder? Where are you going to show up as the friend? Where are you going to show up as the learner, the student, the reader, the researcher? Where are you going to show up? If these are roles, things that you value, where are you going to go be those people, or those, those roles of your identity? Where are you going to go be a worshiper? When are you going to spend that time and do that? And what happens is we put that down on the calendar. And I'm not saying, okay, this is your 30 minutes, your time is up. Now I have to put on a different hat and I'm going to go be, but if you don't schedule it, right, it's not going to be reserved. And then it's more vulnerable to the delay and the decay. It's more vulnerable to kind of getting hijacked. And so this is our way of being proactive, of taking ownership of our time and exercising intentionality for the future. A goal could be an event. It could be a project. It could be a milestone. It's something that you're working towards. And a lot of times we don't know how to break down those big goals. I call them big rocks, but an event, something I'm working on, working towards, how do you actually break that down? You put that into a calendar, and you can do it a few ways, but basically you get this project that you want to do, or you get this event that you're committed to. And if it's important enough, you're going to be looking at it every single week. You're going to be doing something in service of that every single week. And so I would literally just make a time block and say, think about this again, work on this again, look for another step again, get unstuck in this area again. It's just dedicated time to come back. And it might just be a conversation. It might just be just updating your strategy, or it might be targeting one or two things. And then as you just get the ball rolling, you feel that personal momentum going with it. But taking an inventory of your roles, taking an inventory of your goals, and saying, this is my time to be present. I'm put that in the calendar. I'm being intentional about it. As a believer, I want to spend time resting. I want to spend time worshiping. I want to spend time with my community. I can't just wait for that to be convenient. I got to make that intentional. And the same with my health, or the same with my marriage, all this stuff. Like, if these are important enough, then we've got to be intentional about how we commit to them and how we organize them to be successful. I had one more point I was going to make. So this is your last call. If you want to talk about something, go ahead and put it in the chat. It's silly, but you actually have to plan your rest as well. You have to schedule that in too. You have to schedule in margin, schedule in buffer time, schedule in just downtime. That's healthy too. And so for me, a calendar should be holistic, and it's your calendar, it's your time. How are you going to use it? Be effective with it. Don't overthink it. Over planning is you assuming that there are going to be certain conditions or that there's going to be certain things there that may not be there. But, being a planner just means that you know the objective, that you've made a commitment, you've counted the cost, and you're going to figure out how to stay resourceful and responsive to get it to the finish line. So let's see. The last thing I was going to say is you put stuff on the calendar, right? You got the weekly planning session, and you are imagining what kind of week is possible. You're imagining what kind of moments are important. And so you put that out as best as you can. You start with what you know, and then you add in the kind of one-off current events, or you triage what's on fire, or where you need to lean in. And so you put that in as well. And then you're identifying those routines and rhythms and saying, how can I improvise this? How can I improve that? And so you're kind of going through this checklist. You've got these steps that you're taking again and again, week by week, and you're coming up with a different map every week. You're literally making a new map, because you'll never go through the same week twice. And even if you go through, September, you've been through how many Septembers, you're not the same person. You're literally not the same person you were in any previous September. So you got to make a new map, because you're a new person and you're in a whole new landscape. And so you have to survey the landscape of your life and navigate it with humility and wisdom, and then also negotiate all of these competing invitations. And so you dream about what kind of week is possible, and you're making your moments, and you put it down, and you're like, man, that'd be so cool. And you're fired up about it. You're motivated. It's clear. You're like, man, it's going to be awesome. I'm going to do this. And then you show up. Let's say it's waking up in the morning, and it's now that time, crack of early 30, whatever it is. And you're not feeling it, and you don't know how to get it back into that mojo of your weekly planning session. You're like, man, and you're feeling a little bit of self-sabotage, because you had a plan, but you're just not feeling it anymore. What do you do? What do you do with that? That's where you had this space, and you cleared out the space on your calendar, right? You cleared out room, and you claimed it, you named it. You said, all right, basically a time block is space I make for one thing at a time. So I made space to focus on this thing, working out. But I need mojo. I need to level up my skill set. I got to figure out, how do I actually raise the experience here? I'm showing up, but I'm only getting like 10% out of it, or I'm only getting 15% out of it. How do I get 40% out of it? How do I go to 100? And so you've cleared out that space, but now you have to begin to develop what's in that space, because it's just a space, right? And so now you have to build the future with that calendar, and you can do that with routines. You can do that with rhythms. You can do that by skilling up and becoming more clear, more specific about what needs to happen, getting objective and figuring out, okay, what is the objective for this time of day? I know I made space. I've kind of blocked out time, but now I'm going to fine tune this. I'm going to figure this out. If I fail forward, that's fine. But I want to begin to learn and discern how I'm going to create something meaningful out of this space. It doesn't mean you just abandon the early morning. It doesn't mean you just abandon the workout. It doesn't mean you just abandon that idea or that team meeting, or man, I put it on the calendar, but I wasn't feeling it, and so that's it. No. Now all you did was cleared out space, but like literally one phrase isn't going to be enough for you to run off of. It's not enough to build with. You know what I mean? So now you have to go a layer deeper and start using your values and using your experiences and using those life lessons to say, man, I'm actually leveling up. I'm skilling up. I'm learning. I'm growing. I'm trying, applying. I'm multiplying. And so I hope that helps. The biggest thing that we have to do to use this tool effectively is we need the space to actually go through these exercises. You can't just rush through this. You have to slow down, and you have to invest the time, not into a perfect plan. No. You can be wasting your time just kind of daydreaming on conditions that may or may not happen. I mean, like we were told we're going to have a week, or I think 2 weeks at one point. The weather forecast was 2 weeks of solid rain, and now it's not even here. And we're thankful. That's okay. So your data has to be reliable, but it still doesn't take away from the action of you owning your own decision making. Don't forfeit your own intentionality. Don't just say, I don't feel like doing it. That's lazy. So step up and figure out how you're going to have a great day. Because if you don't work on that day, you're probably going to be complaining about it that night. If you don't work on that day intentionally to make it great, then you'll be on the other end and you'll be the victim and you'll be complaining and whining and wondering what happened. There's a lot out of our control, yes, but there is stuff still in our control, and that is plenty to focus on in the time being. You're saying, well, man, I'm stuck and I got to move on with my life and all this stuff. But if you just started to work on the things that are in your scope, you would be full of stuff to do. You would have so much progress, so much momentum. You'd be so encouraged just by seeing the stuff that's in your control growing and being stewarded well. I think about when you travel internationally and you get on an airplane, and man, you're sitting in that airplane a long time. You feel like it's kind of a waste of time. But what's so amazing about that trip is that even though you are investing what seems to be a long time, you're actually traveling so much further than you could go on your own. I mean, you're traveling so much further than you could go just by walking. And so there are times like a weekly planning session or a quarterly getaway where you feel like, man, this is taking a lot of time. I got to sit down and open up my laptop and get my planner or journal or whatever you're rocking. And I have to do this summarizing, organizing, prioritizing all these steps. It's taken like an hour. I know, but if it will help you gain the week, if it will help you like win the week, are you willing to invest the hour? So don't shortcut this. Take ownership over your time and you'll see the benefit of it. If this resonates with you, I would really appreciate your support. Let somebody know about Prepare to Go there. Invite them to be a part of this email community, and let's help each other take on the future with some friends. Also, I mentioned that there is a free gift for you, and it is the Fail-Proof Planning Guide. It is a step-by-step, proven plan, really kind of a discussion guide to help you work through some unresolved decisions that you have to make in order to, be leading yourself. So it's going to help you think through your roles and goals, like I talked about. It's going to help you identify routines and rhythms that you can sustain, and then it's just going to give you a jump start with your planning approach. And so go ahead and click the link below, put in your name and email. You can download it instantly, or if for whatever reason you can't find it there, you can always go to peterbirchfield.com. Y'all, I am looking forward to having another leadership mastermind. I'm excited about it. I'm looking forward to it. I'm just kind of waiting on the right day. Pretty crazy. We're already at episode 64. Is that, man, it's crazy. But here we are, episode 64. And I'm thinking somewhere around the 100 mark, we will launch another leadership mastermind. The first one was beta. It was amazing, a great run. And so now we're going to open it up for some more friends and leaders. And then tomorrow is Future Friday. Going to be hanging out with a great friend of mine who's going to become a great friend of yours. His name is Justin Hodges. He is a amazing entrepreneur, a creative, just so many things that I'll get to brag on him about later. But check that out. Make it a point to be there. Y'all remember that your future deserves your focus. So put in the work today. I am convinced that you are going places, and that's why I want to help you prepare to go there.